In the first round, Devon was giving Georgie this intense stare down, practically sucking the soul out of him. He kept urging Georgie to just say go, because their shoulders weren't lined up. Devon totally wore out Georgie with his setup, bullying him big time. He'd push his shoulder forward, cup his wrist, and keep repeating, say go. They both got fouled, but the ref didn't count it. Devon was jawing at the ref, lifting his elbow. When they finally went, Devon just stopped Georgie dead in the center, and his wrist strength was on point. Every time Georgie tried going sideways, Devon nailed him with the king move. They got inside, and Devon pressed him on the pad as Georgie ran out of steam. Devon was talking smack the whole time. It was even worse than that secret practice pull. The second round was basically a repeat of the first. Devon's hand and wrist were just too much for Georgie. Devon threw in a little king's move as Georgie went sideways. Same ending pinned him by pressing. The third round? Devon held him in the center. Georgie almost fell off the back of the table. The rest of the rounds ended the same. Devon is genuinely terrifying right now. He's got to face 2 more opponents before taking on Levan. Massive props to Devon Larratt. That performance was seriously impressive. Mad respect. Why do all these dudes agree to slap hands with Devon before matches? This always helps Devon more than it helps them. His skill to accurately check out their strengths and weaknesses from this is a solid 10, and he'll use that info to fight for the starting spot that gives him the best shot. It's kinda interesting how we never learn a lesson about how freaking good Devon has become. There's this trend assuming he's always weaker compared to these big, strong guys, but recent times show the opposite is true. He's so slick with his arm wrestling skills nowadays that it's actually kinda scary. Once again, it's tough to accept that he's that damn good, and maybe eventually we'll give him props for his power. It's true, but it really seems to me that his side pressure went way up after his loss to Gainati. His loss to Gainati made him realize he lacks inside power, and started training them again. When he faced Chaffee, you can see how he played with him and owned him at his own strength. Side pressure didn't seem to be George's strongest move. I doubted he would lose center much, and not just because he was strong. Georgie normally fought for hand control in the center. Georgie didn't take Devon's banter seriously. He gets they have no personal meaning and looks at him like some kind of joker. He just kept laughing, so Devon walked away and started chatting with the crowd instead. Devon has definitely been messing with Georgie. Devon's current strength is great enough to basically cancel out his opponent's strength gap by pulling them out of position. Look at what he did to Hermes and Dennis. There's really no transition for him the way he fully commits to his to pro. He'd have to stand back up and try to get his enormous body and arm around to press. It's really not too feasible to get to a press with his full-on to pro style. I didn't see him changing anything. He needed to come with Levan-level strength to get through Devon. Devon had the edge. If Georgie won, it had to look like Levan versus Devon, like he was just too powerful for Devon to stop. He also needed not to lose in the setups. If Devon gets the connection he wants in the straps, he's damn near impossible to pin when his pronator is connected so tightly to your hand. The thing is, Devon Larratt invented a technique where he can protect his cup with a riser. When his wrist goes back a little bit, he switches to the riser. So the cup and pronation are the first defense line. When this chain fails, the second defense lines are the riser and pronation. And don't even try. You will never be able to beat Devon's riser. It's just too strong. Except if you're Levan, for sure. Devon goes between pronation and cupping as his go-to for most important, it seems like. It's flip-flopped a few times since I've known him. Just like in any other sport, one single thing isn't going to win you anything, but it can take you damn far. The strap is the bread and butter of Devon Larratt. Outside the straps, the person who is holding on to their opponent is usually having their weakest link exploited, their fingertip. If they are committing to holding on to their opponent while their fingers are unable to contain the other person's hand, then it results in the rest of the chain breaking down, the wrist and arm, since the fingers are connected to the wrist, which is connected to the arm, etc. Though it's by no means inevitable that this sequence of events happens just because your fingers and wrist buckle, you can choose not to hold on and slip. One thing people aren't talking about is how Devon is evolving. From holding people in the center of the table and allowing his arm to go to the defensive side and drain them, he's now taking the center of the table and smashing them in the position he used to always hold people in, and draining them in a defensive position now. Devon Larratt is much more technical than anyone else. He can use practically any technique. The only simple way to beat Devon is to become so much stronger than him in any given lane so that Devon's versatility and flexibility become nullified. This is what Levon did. Ironically, even this path is quickly becoming more and more difficult. We've all seen how Devon's side pressure and arm strength have increased. It will take a monstrous level of raw strength to muscle Devon out of any fruitful lane, the way Levon did the first time. I thought he would have a dominant enough setup in the strap where his pronator would be super connected to George's hand and George's wrist would bend back. Georgie was used to more strict rules, and King of the Table was less strict in rules. I felt Devon caught him the same way he caught Dave on his high hit back, and then Devon worked George's hand until he managed to pry his wrist back. The way Devon pulls now matches up much better against Levon than how he pulled Levon the first time. Keep in mind, prior to facing Levon last time, Devon's last win was against Brezink, and he didn't look like top 5 material in that match. I'm sure Devon has a better plan now, and with nearly a 20% gain on his rising better setup and much more center strength, it now seems possible that he could stop Levon in the center by round 2. At that point, Devon did what Devon does. The King's mover's hand can still be definitely cracked back. See first round of John versus Devon for an example. The King's mover also needs the other person to hit sideways into their hand. It's way more difficult to pull off in the center of the table. If your go-to is a flop press and King's move, they're not winning moves to be successful in arm wrestling. They're moves you use when you are losing fundamentally, and you can win matches with them, but be your base. You know Jerry is going to flop press, so you shouldn't lose. Georgie lost to Jerry in the match because he didn't realize he had to stand up for Mr. Pro and allowed Jerry to escape the strap twice. And actually that loss is what gives me a good reason why Devon would win. Devon Larratt isn't very fast, and he isn't as strong at gym lifts or in certain arm wrestling areas. He has insane endurance, very good pronation and hand control, and uses open top roll, high hook amongst other things to win. This isn't a mystery, and Devon uses a host of techniques to win.